I let my wife carry on with her infidelity. Then I made a bold move. Original post. I, 34 male, discovered my wife, Vanessa, 32 female, was cheating on me 6 weeks ago. We'd be married for 7 years, together for 10. No kids, thankfully. It wasn't some dramatic discovery. Just a simple notification that popped up on her iPad while I was using it to look up a recipe. She'd left it on the kitchen counter and told me to use it. The message preview showed, "He understands me better than you ever could," followed by, "I can't wait to see you tomorrow." The message was from someone saved as Olivia Work. Except Vanessa doesn't know anyone named Olivia at her job. I opened the messages and scroll through a bit. Took me all of 30 seconds to confirm she was having an affair with some guy named Ethan. I just sat there feeling like someone had punched me in the gut. After the initial shock wore off, I did something that surprised even me. I took screenshots, sent them to myself, then put the iPad back, exactly as I found it. That night, Vanessa came home late, again, with some BS excuse about drinks with coworkers. She kissed me on the cheek like normal. I smiled and acted like I hadn't just seen texts about how she'd spent her lunch break with Ethan. For weeks, I'd been asking about her frequent girls' nights and late work events, but she always had plausible excuses. I'd noticed her growing distant, but chalked it up to stress or a rough patch. Now it all made sense. Here's where most guys would have lost their shit, thrown the evidence in her face, and kicked her out. But some calm calculating part of my brain decided that wasn't going to happen. Not yet. Instead, I made a decision. I was going to let this play out, while I figured out exactly how deep this went, and what I wanted to do about it. See, I've worked hard for our life together. I'm the primary breadwinner. I paid off her student loans when we got married, and I bought our house before we met. Though I understand it's likely considered marital property now. If she thought she could just walk away with half of everything, she had another thing coming. For the next few weeks, I played dumb husband while gathering information. I set up a consultation with a divorce attorney. I documented everything, the late nights, the work events, the unexplained expenses. I went through our credit card statements and found hotel charges and expensive dinners that were definitely not for me. I also noticed that her iPhone location sharing, which we'd set up years ago for safety, showed her at an apartment complex across town on the night she claimed to be with the girls. She was getting careless. This whole time she was getting bolder. Coming home with perfume that wasn't hers. Telling me she needed to find herself and might need space. Classic affair speak. I just nodded, and said I understood. I told her, I wanted her to be happy. Yesterday, I overheard her on the phone making plans to leave me this weekend, while I'm supposed to be at my college buddy's wedding, out of state. Except I canceled my trip without telling her. Her plan is to move out on Saturday. She doesn't know that I know everything. She doesn't know I've documented all our accounts. She doesn't know I've documented every single lie. She doesn't know that instead of being at a wedding on Saturday, I'll be right here waiting with divorce papers and all the evidence. I've never been good at confrontation, but for the first time in my life, I'm actually looking forward to one. We'll update on Saturday. Wish me luck. Update number 1. The evidence package. Thanks for all the comments on my original post. To answer the most common questions, yes. I have a prenup, but it has a sunset clause that partially expired after 5 years. Still somewhat helpful. No. I'm not gonna get violent or do anything illegal. That's not who I am. The house is in my name, but is considered marital property after 7 years together. I spent yesterday finalizing what I'm calling the evidence package. My lawyer helped me put together a binder containing screenshots of texts between her and Ethan, bank statements showing $2,400 in unexplained expenses over the past 6 months. Location data showing her overnight stays at an apartment complex 14 nights in the past 6 weeks, a detailed timeline of her lies about where she was going. Photos my buddy Kyle took of them together at a restaurant when she claimed to be at girls' night. A copy of our prenup with relevant sections highlighted. Divorce papers ready for serving. Through some careful investigation and a mutual acquaintance, I discovered that Ethan, 39M, is actually married with a 2-year-old kid. His wife, Hannah, has no idea what's happening. I haven't decided if I'll reach out to her yet. I also discovered some financial issues. Vanessa apparently lent Ethan $2,500 from our joint account for some investment opportunity. The money never came back. I've documented that too. The most concerning discovery was finding her plans in her notes app. It synced to her iPad. She literally has a checklist. Pack essentials while he's at wedding. Transfer my half of joint savings. Use his travel points for tickets. Tell his parents he was emotionally unavailable. Contact lawyer about house equity share. Her parents called me today to invite me to dinner Sunday. I think she's already started spinning her narrative to them. Her mom asked if I was doing okay in a weird tone. I just said everything's fine and agreed to dinner. Last night in bed, Vanessa actually cuddled up to me and said she's been thinking about our future and wants to talk this weekend. The audacity of this woman sleeping next to me while planning to leave is mind-blowing. I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just determined. Tomorrow, instead of boarding a flight, I'll be waiting when she starts packing. My brother will be nearby as a witness if needed. This isn't about revenge. It's about standing up for myself and not being taken advantage of anymore. I'll update tomorrow after it all goes down. Update number 2. The confrontation. What a day. This morning started normally. Vanessa woke up, kissed me goodbye, and reminded me my flight was at 11 a.m. I nodded, told her I'd miss her, and pretended to finish packing my suitcase. She kept checking her watch, clearly eager for me to leave. I made a show of calling an Uber and saying goodbye. Then I drove around the block, parked at my friend Kyle's car who was waiting nearby, and walked back using our side entrance. The plan was to wait until she started packing, then confront her. Around noon, 2 cars pulled up, Vanessa's Honda, and Ethan's BMW. I watched through the window as they entered our house, laughing and talking. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would burst through my chest. I waited 20 minutes, listening to them discuss what items Vanessa should take now versus later. I heard her mention my grandfather's antique watch collection, saying, "We should definitely grab those now, they're worth a lot." That's when I decided to record audio on my phone. Legal in my state as long as one party consents. I stood there for about 5 minutes, just documenting their conversation as they detailed what they planned to take. Then I texted Kyle. "It's time." Kyle rang the doorbell while I walked in from the kitchen. You should have seen their faces when I appeared. Vanessa went pale. Ethan immediately stood up straight, trying to look intimidating. "What are you doing here?" Vanessa sputtered. "Your flight got cancelled." I finished for her. "Permanent cancellation, actually. Kind of like our marriage." I placed my evidence binder on the coffee table. "Before you take anything, you might want to look at this." The next hour was intense. Vanessa cycled through, crying, yelling, and trying to explain. She claimed I had driven her to this with my emotional distance. When that didn't work, she switched to saying it was just a fling and didn't mean anything. My brother arrived during this, having been alerted by Kyle. Having them there changed the dynamic entirely. Ethan, who had been posturing, suddenly got quiet. "You're married with a child," I said to Ethan. His face fell, as Vanessa whipped around to look at him. "You're what?" she demanded. Turns out, Mr. Perfect had been lying to both women. Vanessa had no idea he was married. By 3 p.m., the house was cleared. Of them, not belongings. Vanessa left with a suitcase of clothes, alternating between crying and threatening legal action. Ethan slipped away during the confusion, probably to start damage control with his wife. I changed the locks after consulting my lawyer about the legality of doing so. As I was sitting in my eerily quiet house afterward, Vanessa's parents called. They were still expecting us for dinner tomorrow. I decided not to counsel. I want them to hear my side directly with evidence before she spins her tale. My lawyer says we're in a good position for the divorce proceedings. The audio I recorded of them planning to take items is apparently valuable evidence. I'm exhausted, but can finally breathe again. More updates after the dinner with her parents tomorrow. Update number 3. The family fallout. The dinner with Vanessa's parents was predictably awkward. I showed up alone to their house, evidence binder tucked under my arm. Her dad Richard opened the door with a confused look. "Where's Vanessa?" he asked. "That's what I'd like to discuss," I replied. I've always gotten along well with Richard and Diane. They invited me in, and I could tell they'd heard something from Vanessa but not the whole story. We sat at their dining table, and I laid out everything. The affair, the financial issues, the plan to leave, all of it. I showed them selected screenshots and financial records. Richard was silent throughout, his expression darkening. Diane looked increasingly upset. She told us you two were having problems, Diane said, that you'd grown apart and she needed space. She said you were distant, Richard added, that you worked too much. I showed them her 400 monthly salon appointments and the weekend spa trip I'd paid for as her birthday gift 2 months ago while she was actively cheating. They were shocked when I mentioned Ethan was married with a child. This doesn't sound like our daughter, Richard finally said. We need to hear her side too. I respected that. I didn't expect them to immediately take my side against their child, but I could see doubt in their eyes. They promised to talk to her and reach out to me later. By the next morning, the storm hit. Vanessa had clearly told her version to everyone. Her friends blew up my phone, calling me controlling and abusive. Her sister accused me of spying and stalking. Some mutual friends asked for the whole story before judging. The most unexpected message came from Hannah, Ethan's wife. She thanked me for exposing the affair, saying she'd suspected something for months. I don't know what happens next for my family, she wrote, but at least I'm not living a lie anymore. As for Vanessa, she's demanding her fair share of our assets. My lawyer says her position is weakened by the evidence, but she's still entitled to some equitable distribution after 7 years of marriage. The divorce process has officially started. It will likely take 6 to 12 months to finalize everything. I keep asking myself if there were signs I missed, but then I remember her coldly planning her exit while pretending everything was fine. And I realize some people just reveal who they truly are when they think no one's watching. I'll update once there are significant developments in the proceedings. Final update. 8 months later. It's been a while since my last update, and many of you have asked for closure. Here's where things stand. 8 months after discovery. The divorce is nearly finalized. Not as quick or clean as I'd hoped, but we've reached a settlement agreement. She gets her personal belongings and car, a cash settlement representing approximately 25% of our marital assets, lower than the typical 50% due to the documented infidelity and financial impropriety. I keep the house, but had to refinance to buy out her interest. As for the others, Ethan and Hannah, they're in marriage counseling. She initially filed for divorce, but then paused proceedings. I don't know details beyond that. He had to take a lower-paying job after some workplace issues related to the affair. Vanessa. She and Ethan broke up within weeks of being exposed. According to mutual friends, reality didn't match their fantasy once they had to deal with real-life problems. She's now working at a new company and dating someone else already. Vanessa's family. This has been complicated. Richard and Diane were initially torn, but have maintained some contact with me. They're disappointed in their daughter, but trying to repair that relationship too. Some family members still believe I was the problem. Me. I'm doing better than expected. Therapy helps. Sold the house, too many memories, and bought a smaller place. Been focusing on rebuilding, reconnecting with friends, taking classes, even started rock climbing. The hardest part has been accepting that someone I built a life with for 10 years could discard it so easily. Some nights, I still wake up wondering if any of it was real. But then I remember how I handled it all, with dignity and self-respect, and I feel proud of that guy. The old me would have exploded in rage or begged her to stay. Instead, I took control of the situation. Last month, I ran into Vanessa at a coffee shop. First time seeing her since the divorce proceedings began. She looked different somehow. She tried to start a conversation, asked if we could be friends someday. I just said, I wish you well, Vanessa, but no. And I meant it. I do wish her well, somewhere far away from me. To everyone who followed this saga, and offered support, thank you. Knowing I wasn't alone helped more than you know. I'm choosing to see this not as the end of something, but as a painful, necessary reset. The chance to build something better with someone worthy of trust, or maybe just with myself for a while. Either way, I'm going to be okay.